My name is Karen Swain. I'm filling in for Hillis Pugh because it is Thanksgiving in the States and she's got a slew of family at her place. She's feeding them. I'm sure she's feeding them. So I'm filling in for Cosmic Conversations today with our guest, Hillis Pugh. Welcome, Hillis. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Karen.
Let me read you a little bit about Hillis and what we're going to chat about tonight, and hopefully people can catch the replay who are not listening live. So back in 2008, during the Thanksgiving celebrations, Hillis really got the power of gratitude in our lives. Because of his losses during that time with challenges in his business and in his relationships, he started to look at life with a different perspective. This is when he started a weekly blog called, it was Thank You Thursday, right? Thank You Thursday? Yeah.
Yes.
But you don't have the blog anymore.
No, but the works are still on my website for people to read.
Yeah. So Hillis studied many spiritual teachers, including with Michael Beckwith. God, in 2004, I was in the States and staying at a friend's place in LA, and she said, "You got to go to the Agape Church and see Michael Beckwith." And we didn't have time. And that was the last time I was there. And I really regret that because he is awesome. And the Abraham teachings, the channeled material from Esther and Jerry Hicks, the Abraham teachings, and also Conversation with God by Neil Donald Walsh, all some of my favorite teachers, remembering the wisdom within each and every soul. And today, Hillis Pugh is a energy facilitator working with modalities such as psychic mediumship, Reiki and Syrian and Lemurian light energy to co-create a deeper connection to the soul. He's an author, teacher, speaker, and holistic practitioner, utilizing his gifts and tools to empower you on your journey. Passionate about his work, he guides you through your spiritual path and reminds you you're never alone. And your website is Hillis, HISSIS Pugh, PUGH.com. Yeah, in the background there. There are
Yeah,
people
this
listening to this on audio only. So,
okay.
and you're also a speaker. The Conscious Awakening Network is putting on a online conference next year called Star Code Activations, aligning your higher self's potential, transitioning out of 3D to 4D and 5D in January. So that's
Yes,
in
I'm
January. Do you know the
excited.
dates? Do you know the dates? You did send me.
January 11th and 12th. And when I looked at the dates, I had to uh, make sure I'm not double booked because I do have something planned locally here in Florida for the 11th. I'm like, I got to take time to make sure I'm not double booked.
The power of gratitude. Yeah, on Thanksgiving night. And, Hillis and I were having a chat before, and we were talking about what did I write down? I wrote down talking about the overcoming persecution energy. Like light workers hold a lot of persecution energy because of being persecuted in past lives and maybe in this life. And yeah, we're going to chat about that tonight too. But the power of thank you, the power of gratitude. So this hit you back in 2008. Like,
Yeah.
let us know what happened. What happened?
Well, as you, and again, thank you, Karen, for that amazing intro. And thank you, Patty. Thank you, everyone who's here watching now and later. And a little bit of my story back in 2008, and I feel this is a typical origin story, if you will, for most people in the work that we do. And it just was that time in my life where, I was laid off from my corporate job, so I decided to start my own small business. A good relationship, everything was good. Everything was going great, the year prior, back in 2007, but 2008, small business wasn't doing so well. Relationship gone, trying to pay rent and bills and just all the things just to survive, from day to day. And it wasn't until I allowed myself to put my pride aside and ask for help. And it was through the love of my family and of my friends but I was really able to receive that. And, growing up, I was always taught, have appreciation, always say please, always say thank you, always have proper manners, and just to be a well-mannered individual. I always have appreciation for the little things, when someone does something nice for you. But when it was in 2008, and I allowed myself to be the receiver of these gifts and of this bounty, of this abundance, if you will, I allowed myself to feel that and to receive it because I'm always a giver. And when you're a giver, it hits differently. And so it was in the tradition that we have at my house where we always, as you was talking about before, Karen, when we were going around the table and we would always express what we were appreciative for, what we were grateful for. And I said what I said about, for my family and friends, them being there for me by my side. And then it was that morning, the next day, I sent out an email to everyone, family, friends, everyone, and just the depth of gratitude that I had for them. And with each day, each week that passed, it just allowed me to see something different from a different perspective. And being a poet, it always gave me something to write about as well. So just mixing the message to understand gratitude from a different point of view.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, the power of gratitude is something so where am I? There we go. Coming back. There we go. Get this. Is something so potent. I remember when I was young, single, struggling financially, single mom, and I was stressing about money and where to find my next job and all that sort of thing. I remember I had all this wisdom under my belt, but I hadn't really practiced it. Like this stuff only works when you
Yeah.
practice it. You can read the books and listen to the sermons and watch the documentaries and listen to a million podcast shows. But until you actually do it, it has no power in your life. I mean, it has power in your life, and at least you're aware of it. But I remember sitting on the couch thinking, what can I find to be grateful for? And when you're stressing out, as you know, Hillis, it's really hard to find something to be grateful for when you're in that, like everything's falling apart. I've lost everything.
It
And I just
is.
looked out. I looked out and there were these beautiful trees in my little backyard. And I just started thinking, wow, how beautiful are those trees? Just started
And that's where it
appreciating. Yeah,
starts,
yeah,
and that's where it starts, when you have that space of observation. And when
right.
you put the observation in practice, you begin to notice the little nuances that you may not have noticed or other people may have missed. And that's where I feel the power of gratitude, the power of appreciation, the power of love. That's where that comes into play because we pause in these moments, these continuous moments, this fluid moment that we pause in, that we breathe in to take notice of every little thing. It's like, yes, thank you for that. Thank you. Yes, thank you for that.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. There's just it's so powerful. Yeah, so I remember just appreciating the beauty of the trees and saying, thank you for having the opportunity to have a backyard and having these trees that I can look at and appreciate. And the phone rang and it was a job. And I remember thinking, God, that was fast. That was fast. And really, it can be that fast, right? Have you got any stories like that? Like when you change your attitude from stress and drama
Yes.
to gratitude and things just turned around like that?
Well, I could say that this year has definitely been one of those times for me because I remember early this year, it was March or April, and somehow somebody found me and asked me to be a part of their summit. And I'm like, yes, sure, I would love to be a part of your summit. Amazing. And so with that, it opened up more opportunities because I said to the universe, I, said, I would love to do more of these. I'm enjoying these because I used to have my own podcast with the co-host, and we did, weekly live shows. I want to do more interaction. I want to do more. I want to talk more. I want to do. And before you know it, like I was booked for 3 or 4 different conferences within the next 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's just been steady building for me since then. And now I'm here with the Conscious Awakening Network and, just being here talking to you and doing the summit in January. So, I mean, it's just amazing when we allow ourselves to pause in these moments, to take that breath of energy and that life force energy when we receive that. And we say, oh, all right, I can receive it. I can feel that and really feel it. Not just like, yeah, but really, you know.
I'd love to talk about, it says I'm mute. I'd love to talk about how you went from, you took that quantum leap from working, in a mainstream world corporate job to spiritual mentor, teacher, coach. Like, I know we've got to, like it's not easy. You've got to really think about yourself differently. You have to totally shift your identity of who you think you are. Yeah, you're laughing. So
Yeah,
how
I'm
did you do
laughing.
that?
I'm laughing because I don't know how I did it. And most people say it was a flip of the switch. And for
Hmm.
me personally, I want to say it was a gradual process because, I've always been a creative individual. I've started writing poetry as long as I can remember. And my poetry always had a certain je ne sais quoi, had a certain feel, and I tell anyone if you read any of my poetry, it's like reading my diary. You can read my poetry and understand what's going on or what was going on in my life at the time. And like any great songwriter, they reflect that energy back out into the world. It's like, hey, we can help you. And I didn't always know what my mission was to be. And this is when I crafted my mission of helping other people, being of service. As a poet, doing open mic nights, I wanted people to know that they were not alone on their journey. And what better way to do that than express that through words? And then with everything that happened with me in 2008, one of the first things that I saw, and I may laugh when I say this, but to me, it feels true, is that one of the, along with the great teachers that you mentioned that we talked about earlier, one of the other first books, that I discovered was The Secret, and that to me is the kindergarten, the preschool introduction of the stepping stone to getting into this and really getting a grasp of what this energy is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really, honestly, there was not a quantum leap. I mean, I've always had my abilities as a psychic medium as a child. I had premonitions growing up. I had all the telltale signs of these abilities, but they weren't nurtured, especially in the household that I grew up in, going to a Catholic school, going to a Baptist church. So there was these things that it wasn't nurtured. It wasn't in that space and environment to be accepted. So as I stepped through the space of understanding, about the law of attraction and reading about the conversations with God and understanding spirituality in a different spectrum on a different level, it then helped me to realize, wait, I have these abilities. Wait, I can do something that well. Wait, it's like all these little thoughts and pause, and I honed my psychic abilities by going to school and, found a Reiki teacher. And then I found the teacher that I have now, which is helping me with the Syrian Lemurian energy. And what makes it even more magical, I didn't expect to be one of only 2 teachers on the planet that has the ability to attune other people to this particular modality. So it's spanned over 20 years of me, and actually longer if we want to go back to my high school days of writing poetry, but it's just been in the space of, learn something, practice it, own it, learn something, practice it, own it, learn, practice, hone. So it's like all these many steps to really get to where I am now to really own. the 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 state, you know.
Yeah. So you were really psychic as a kid, but you
Yeah, I
didn't
mean,
know it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I would be in my room with my cousin, and I remember that when the lights would go out, we had these closet doors, and they were painted a navy blue. And at
Hmm.
night, I would see spots on them, and the spots would move, and I'm like, "What's going on here?" So it's like these little things, and I didn't tell anybody about it, but I told my stepfather about it, and he was like, "Really? That's really interesting." So it wasn't. It was almost like when I told my family this as a child, it was almost like dismissing,
Sorry, say that again. You dropped out. When you
No,
told your family about it, what did they say?
it was
They
they more.
dismissed you.
Yeah, they just dismissed it. Like, yeah, okay, it was just like one of those things that maybe you should get your eyes checked. I'm like, no, really seeing this stuff.
So, did you see your galactic tribe, your galactic guides when you were a kid?
Maybe
No.
I honestly have no idea because it was frequent for a while, but as I got older, like when I got to be around the age 7 and 6, that's when it started to fade.
Yeah.
But because it wasn't nurtured, I didn't know what it was, and no one in my family could tell me what it.
Yeah, it's criminal, isn't it, Hillis, that this is not nurtured. I mean, when are we going to have the day that they do nurture intuitive? I mean, we nurture creativity, but we don't nurture psychic ability and intuition. I was talking to another, Hillis was telling me before that his mom, Lomom, we say mum, M-U-M, here in Australia, his mom
Mom.
transitioned about 9 years ago from heart problems, and her name was Karen. And I said, yeah, I was at school with about my generation, her generation, like 60s. I was at school with like six Karens, and I was talking to one of my friends, Karen, today actually, about someone. She sent me this client who had this child who was 9 at the time, and that was a few years ago, probably about 7 years ago, and he didn't talk. And she had spent 8 years trying to make this kid talk. But he was like a new generation kid that was
Yes,
here
that
to
was
teach
here to
us
teach us.
about telepathy. He's here to teach us about telepathy. So he is one of these psychic kids that is just screaming psychic ability that you can't dumb down. Like they dumbed us down, right? But that you can't dumb him down. He's not going to talk. He's only going to project consciousness and communicate through different avenues. And there's quite a few of those star, seeds here on the planet now. Well, many of them where that you can't dumb down until we start to change our systems so that we don't teach people out of their innate psychic ability and we start to nurture that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you
I
think about
mean,
that, Hill?
I've honestly, I remember reading a while ago that Neil Donald Walsh had something similar called the Waldorf schools, where it was geared towards conscious uh, teaching. And so I feel that that's a big part of our culture to where, as children, they have to understand as they're kids coming in, not saying that, my generation, didn't, but, people of my generation and people of the now generation, they have this ability where they come in and they remember their most recent life. They come in and they have these things and no one can help them understand and like guide them, and it's up to the parents to trust them. So yeah, I mean, I feel that that is a big part of what we have to do. I mean, unless like me, waiting till you're like late 20s, early 30s to begin to really hone your abilities to learn and practice them, but you knew they were there all along. And that's one thing I feel that we have to also correct in our society as well. That people often refer to our abilities as gifts. They are not gifts. These are innate abilities that we have and we have access to. We just have to learn how to use them properly, with proper intention. Because I feel that's one of the fears that if you have these abilities, then like the gentleman you were just speaking of having telepathy, Yeah, you can't hide your thoughts from anyone. You can't hide, anything unless you practice, mental blocking techniques. And this goes to one of the things that I do every now and again. Well, not every now and again, doing it for years. It's plant medicine. When you sit in a circle with a shaman, and before a ceremony, the shaman has to get to know you, or the shamans helpers have to get to know you, and then everyone's having a good old time, before ceremony starts. But when you're in that ceremonial space, you can't hide. It's all energy. It's all energy flowing. We're all connected, and that's how it is. When you allow yourself to let your guard down, when you allow yourself to let people in to help you or whatever capacity. But there's no hiding when we allow for our abilities to come online. There's no me. There's always a we. There's always been a we, but the individual space, and we have to understand that we are from creative consciousness. Every single one of us is a reflection of creative consciousness. And when we allow ourselves to step back into that space, in the space of the from me to we, to truly be in that space, to accept that space, that I am an individual, have a unique experience with source, and I deliver this information back to the collective. And what does the collective do with this information? So you have to think, 70,000 years ago, the first of civilization until now, the impressions, the energy, the information that is there, and even the information and energy that's in the other planetary systems next is because we are greater consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. You said exactly what I've been saying for years of what I said. And I'm putting on a big event here in well, I'm a part of a team putting on a big event here in Sydney next year. And it has a lot of mediums involved in it, a lot of readers and mediums. And yeah, there is this saying that if you can speak to the dead, or you can precognitive, psychic ability, that you have these gifts. And I always say they are not gifts, they are a part of our innate ability. Before we could hear, taste, touch, smell, and see, when we were born into this earth, we were operating only on our psychic abilities. And then when all the other, senses kick in, they dominate our experience and we forget about our psychic abilities. Yeah, but they're all there. Like it's all there for everyone, right?
I was
Everyone
just
has
reading,
them.
yeah, everyone has them. I was just reading Patty's comment, and so yeah, I mean, when you are connected to your abilities, and when I used to be athlete in high school, I used to run track, wrestle, play volleyball. I did some of everything in high school, and it's just that energy when you're connected and you feel the connective energy. It's like when I go into meditation and when I do my best not to go into a trance state in meditation. But when I am of service to other people, I mean, it's like just that close of me being in that trance state. And when you're there, when you're in that moment, it's just bliss. Everything is humming and everything is working together and everything is flowing. And it's sometimes challenging when you are in the stressful day to day, when you're living that in the anxiety that we have now with all these heightened stress levels. In order to get back into that space, you have to step away. And so, what I say to people who are experiencing these heightened stresses and the heightened space of anxiety, step away from it. I mean, even if it's just temporary, if it's for like 30 minutes, step away. Or if you want to step away completely, find something that in your heart to do. Because when we have that energy, when we're in that space, it just flows a lot different. And I can tell you from experience that that space of connectedness is so beautiful.
It is a beautiful space. I'm having a few tech issues today. Is
It
your
might be
mic
me.
is your mic plugged in properly? There's just touch it, tap it for me. Just tap it for me. Because I see you've
Yeah,
got a nice mic, but I don't know if it's have you configured the the audio settings to pick the mic that you've got plugged in?
Yeah, it's sometimes I know it's sometimes my when the energy is high, my
Yeah.
chin. So I mean, it's my energy is like builds and goes up, and interferes with the electronic stuff. So I
Yeah, the
just
audio keeps dropping out every now and then, and I'm just wondering if that nice mic you've got on is working. So Hillis and I were chatting before we went live, and I was quizzing him because I'm curious. Patty knows I love to ask questions. That's why I have my own podcast show, which is called Accentuate the Positive ATP Media, on YouTube and all the platforms. Actually, we're on another network. But anyway, and I was saying, who are the people that you speak to in your business, in your mentoring, spiritual mentoring, and you were saying that a lot of women and a lot of women who have been abused. And we were talking about that persecution energy that a lot of light workers come in with. They feel persecuted. We can be persecuted for being a woman. We can be persecuted for being a heretic. We can be persecuted for being the wrong color. We can be, like, there's so many ways that we get
yeah.
persecuted. And I think that as light workers, a lot of us come into this time on earth now carrying that persecution energy, either through our DNA lineage or through our past lives, to heal it, to transmute it, to transform it, to transcend it so that we can feel more united and unified as we move into the 450 experience. Do you want to talk about that persecution energy that you've also noticed on yourself? I noticed it for the
Oh,
longest time on me. Like, I was so scared to stand up and talk in front of people because there was this underlying fear that I was going to be killed somehow for speaking my truth. Yeah, what do you want to say
yeah.
about that, Hillis?
And I find this fascinating. I honestly really didn't discover this until actually believe I was going through my psychic mediumship class, honing my abilities when I truly covered this. Is that as I came into this life, this human form, this male body, I had a heart condition, had a heart murmur.
Hmm.
And I've always had it. And when I was in high school, the doctors told me that I shouldn't run, I shouldn't do any athletics, simply because, my condition could get worse. And, just a whole host. And I say, no, I'm going to do what I'm going to do anyway. And when I discovered this, I had a reading done and had it confirmed by a couple of other people. Even in the real confirmation was when I had a dream. And this dream, I was late nighttime, a woman who was very prophetic, very well respected, and profound for her time. And I was not aware of her name. And I saw my lover stab me in my heart. I'm like, interesting. I have a heart
Wow.
murmur,
Hmm.
and I got stabbed in my heart in a past life,
Hmm.
along with two other birthmarks that I have that I find fascinating, and how they are related to past lifetime. And it's in that space of and I don't want to say persecution energy. I'm not going to say that anymore because it brings up the energy of fear, and that's what we have to move away from as a culture, society. Instead of, you know, or maybe for this until I find a better term, for this fear of speaking my truth because I was killed. Every time I died, it was for me speaking my truth. It was for me using my abilities. It was for me living in my power.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, a lot of people are afraid. And,
Yeah.
I have moments even still, of not living in my power, knowing what my power can do and how my power has gotten me in trouble, how my power has gotten me killed. And so for those who are living in their truth, step into the love and be the love of who you are. And I know it's challenging, especially, living a dual life, it's challenging. to be in that space of self-love and self-respect and honoring yourself and honoring your power because it's a big deal.
Mm. And how do you feel gratitude dovetails with overcoming that fear of persecution, that fear energy?
Well, gratitude personally for me to help overcome that persecution energy is living in that love, living in that appreciation of, well, I have my abilities. I've helped so many people with them, and I've seen the transformation of those who I. So me being of service, knowing that I can be of even greater service, excites me. And that's the space that I live in, especially, when I work with the women who have been sexually abused. For them to come to me and trust me, a man, speaks to their level of courage, to trust me, be of service to them, to honor space for them to make their personal transformation. Oh, did I lose you? Wait, I think my internet's going. Oh, you could hear me, but Karen, can you hear
I'm
me?
going to add,
Uh-oh, Karen. Oh no. Are you back, Karen? Oh no. Oh no.
yeah, we dropped out. I dropped out. Yeah, you were freezing, and, and I don't know if we're still live streaming. Out, my Zoom dropped out, and
Oh, see, it
I
happens when you have
wonder
two
if we're still
powerful
live
healers.
streaming. Let me just let me see if it's yeah, I think we're still
Yeah,
live.
we're still alive. Yeah, we're still alive.
Yeah, I think yeah, there we go. We're still live. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. That's what we're talking about today. It's Thanksgiving night in the States. I have a group online who consist of people from all over the world, and Canada has Thanksgiving in, I think, October.
Yeah, it's
October.
Boxing Day.
Yeah, and is it Boxing Day?
Yeah,
Boxing Day is the day after
box.
Christmas, isn't it?
Oh wait,
We
no,
call we call Boxing Day the day after Christmas.
that's right. It is box. No, then I forget what it's called in Canada.
Oh,
No,
it's
it's in
called something
October.
different.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
called
it's
something.
in October. I think Patty's. Oh, look, we've got few more people online, I see. Yeah, so we're talking about the power of gratitude, the power of gratitude to gratitude, appreciation, and love to overcome the traumas that we've lived in this life and in past lives, and the traumas that we're carrying on our DNA. A lot of light workers come into families that are carrying a lot of persecution, fear, energy on their DNA. They come into very dysfunctional families. I can't tell you how many light workers, star seeds, wanderers, volunteers, whatever you want to call them, have talked about the trauma that they've lived inside their own families. And, they're the ones doing the work. They're the ones clearing up all the hate and resentment and trauma, 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 because we come into families that are holding it on their DNA to clean it up so that we can move from the third D to fourth D to 5D, right? Into a new reality. So, how did you meet your galactic team, Hillis? How did you meet your galactic guides? If you
It's
didn't sort of
always moving and
know,
shifting.
yeah, how did they present themselves to you when you first understood that you were connected to a galactic consciousness or an off-world consciousness?
I don't have them as much as I used to, but I remember one of my abilities of first coming online and I was more aware of them. This was my late 20s, early 30s. And I have these amazing, amazing lucid dreams.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, they were stellar. It's like and I guess it's the old adage, how do you know what's real? It's because you can feel it or, consciousness or whatnot. but these dreams felt really real. There have been times I woke, my favorite dream, that it felt so real, like I was literally in another life, another dimension. And this particular dream, and this is how I knew that my life was going to be different. So and I always had a fondness for the samurai, the Japanese samurai, and the honor that they lived by, without that respect. I had one particular night, I had this dream where I was a samurai, and I cannot think of the name of this particular tower, the name that they have for it in Japan, but it was a tower where I was going through these files. And, first level cleared, second level cleared, and it was ninjas, assassins, like hordes of them, not just, five or six, army of them. And I get to the third level, and the stairs fall out from under me. Like I'm on the landing, and for me to get to the next level, the stairs fall out, so I can't get to the next level. And I see this horde of ninjas just coming at me out this window. I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? It's like my sword is not enough. What am I going to do? And next thing I know, I hear this word vanquish them. I'm like, vanquish them how? And I started to breathe fire. I
Hmm.
breathed fire. They were all gone. I wake up, and I kid you not, my mouth was on fire, hot, wet, and it was just, did I just literally breathe fire? And this is how I got to meet my team and understand and by going through this trial, because that's what it was. And then there were many dreams that I went on thereafter where I was on missions, where I was this shape shifting superhero, or this other dream where I was in the military bunker, literally saving souls, and I actually met one person that I actually saved from the space in real life. So it's like, this is amazing how stuff happens.
Yeah. So how did they present themselves to you?
There was no special way of them presenting themselves. It's not like they came to me in my room. They never. I have made very few visitations, but it was always on the astral level, and they were always changing because from the time I had to try to me going on these missions, there was always someone else. It was always uh, uh, a guide, and they always presented themselves to me in the astral plane, whether if it was a particular color. One time I was just see purple all the time in my dreams, like knowing it was them. So because they knew that I could identify them by color and frequency, and
Yeah.
not by name. Even though I had a few by name, but they're not important now because my guides are my mom, my aunt, and grandma in spirit. They're my main ones now. And then my grandma, she's like the one who leads the charge because they're all crossed over. And anyone else that comes in, they are helpers. But now I uh am working with some of the masters now. Yeah.
And they give you energy activations for humanity.
They
Uh,
do, they do. And actually I was actually told to have this book done by next year, but then I was also told that it's not ready yet. And so it's a book of light language symbols, or as I call it, galactic language. And so I have a book just full of symbols that I use that's ready for humanity to assist them in this remembering process.
yeah. Beautiful. So do you speak light language or you just write it?
I speak of the words that I know, and I kept having this conversation with a friend of mine the other day. And I am a linguist in this respect, and they honor that. They respect it because there are some people that can just go right into it, like speaking tongues, as some would say.
Yeah.
But for me, I have to speak it. I have to know what it means. I have to understand it. I have to feel the energy of it. I have to fall in love with it, so to speak, have a relationship with it. And so when I do the work that I do with my clients, it is done in the energy of the galactic language or light language, some people call. And the reason why I have to understand it, so that way I can connect to it more, I can feel it more. Because when I had my show, my co-host, that we would do this thing every Friday called oh geez, what we would call it, was like a Friday show, Friday night tune-ups is what we did.
Friday
So
night
we
tune-ups.
and so we would do
Tune-ups,
energy,
if you're
yeah,
American.
tune-ups, right? So we would
Tune-ups.
do we would do energy healings live every Friday, and it got to a point where she would constantly do sound, and she would do some light language, not always. And then one episode we did, and she did light language. And I was like, wait a minute, I can understand that, I can translate. It's partly because I had a relationship with her, but then when people express light language, it's always about the feeling of and how it feels in
Mhm.
the body, because it's a vibration energy, it's a vibrational frequency.
Mhm.
But when you have someone speak it and then can translate it, you feel it more in the body. It goes deeper into the mitochondria, into the DNA, to the those certain aspects of the body, because and really understand the complete mess.
So what do you think that light language does to the physical structure of the body or the energetic structure of the body?
It depends on the frequency. It depends on the wording that is used. It depends on all these things. And so if you and just like anything, there is no good or bad. It's just the isness of it, the intent. And so when you use the light language for its proper intent, you can use it to build up a physical form. You can use it to assist in nurturing or healing the physical form. You can alter it in different ways as long as you have permission from the person you're working with. Because when you work with that particular vibration and frequency, the person has to be aware of it. The person has to know what's going on. The person who is receiving it, I should say, has to be aware and know what's happening. Because for me personally, being a soul mentor, I work with everyone individually, one on one, most of the time, at a soul level. When you speak to the soul, that's when the energy is received even more, because our physical form is about 760 to 80% on Earth, or whatever physical form in whatever planet you're in. It's about 60 to 80%. The rest is in the ethers. The rest is on the astral plane. The rest is wherever your home is. And so when you speak to the soul can transmit that energy, that vibration, so it's felt at a higher level. So that way, when it's felt physically, it holds the vibration or holds that energy better, as opposed to having a consistency or regular treatments, because it doesn't hold. And if you use it for the opposite, you can use it to tear down, you can use it to uh, blow up the body or disrupt the meridians in the body. You can use it to disrupt the energy systems in the body. So I mean, it's all about the intent that you want to use it for.
Yeah, it sounds like potent light and sound technology. And
Yeah,
we can use it to restructure our DNA, right? So we can bring on all these abilities, these gifts, these abilities, we can bring them all back. Well, not bring them online because they're already online, but enhance them, enhance the sensitivity of them. And
yeah.
yeah, and then you got to, once you enhance them, then you got to figure out how to use them. Because most
That's
of
the
us,
hard part.
right. Yeah, because so many light workers and starseeds feel so victimized by their sensitivity, but their sensitivity is their superpower. Uh, I was
Yeah,
at a I was at a choir the other night, and the woman that was singing, she's bashing on the piano. She's an amazing pianist, but she's like really bashing this piano, and it was really loud. And a lot of the songs were written during lockdowns, and so she was singing about her discontent and how we were all being sort of manipulated and controlled through the media. So the vibration of the song was sort of resistant energy, and I had to get out of there. Like I couldn't cope with it. Just
Yeah.
I felt so sensitive to the intention behind what she was doing that it wasn't enjoyable for me. But that sort of resistant, like this is not right, sort of energy is a frequency that the majority of people on our planet are on, right? It's like, I don't like this. I don't want this. Instead of that gratitude and love energy that we've been talking about all day, like, what can we be grateful for that we disagree with? Yeah. What can you be grateful for that, something that has been a trauma in your life? How can you find gratitude for that? Not just for the great things that are happening, but, for the terrible things that are happening. How can we find love and acceptance and gratitude for that? What do you want to say about that, Hillis?
I have the best story for that. And to find appreciation in the
Yeah.
trauma, it takes a lot. Because my dad asked me one day, after I met my dad, and he said, "For me not being in your life all these years, how can you be so easily forgiving?" I was like, "Because it's just who I am." It's like if I would have met you maybe sooner, I probably would have, have a dislike
Hated
for
him.
you.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly. Well, not necessarily hate, but give up on him being in my life. But
Yeah.
that I digress. But the story that I want to share with you, and this is the most potent story that I'm going to share with you guys this evening. And I'm already just getting teary-eyed just even thinking about it. And when I say this, I want you guys that are listening and watching now to listen slowly, listen carefully, and listen with as I speak these words, because if I wouldn't have seen it play out in my mind's eye as I was performing this on the planet, I would not believe.
Would not have believed it.
No, I would not had not believed it because this was one of my clients who was sexually abused, and I walked him through this process, this guided meditation, and we get to this aspect of this person, who had abused her. And that's like, I want us to focus on the love. Let's just focus on the loving energy that you're giving yourself right now. Let's go back to the time you were at this table and you needed to learn certain lessons. You needed to learn how to accelerate your ascension, or accelerate your remembering of who you are in this life. And you found out that the best way to do that was through personalized trauma. And they said, okay, let's go back to that time. And at this time, you have this round table. And I'm seeing this, perceiving this in my throat, that she's at a round table. And all of these souls are with her. And you're going to be my father. You're going to be my mother. You're going to be one of my siblings. You're going to be my great grandmother. You're going to be my grandma. You're going to be this. And everyone's taking a role in this person's life. And it's like, and you're going to be the one to abuse me. You're going to be the one to trigger me. You're going to be the one to belittle me and make me feel bad, make me feel at my worst. This is what you have to do to me. And this soul looks and says, I can't do that. I can't do that. It's like I love you too much as a soul, as this person, as this being, as this vibration of the soul to inflict that upon you. I love you too much to do that. It's like it's impossible, but and she would probably say, you must. For me to know who I am to be, you have to do that. And you are the stranger in my life that I'll have no connection with. But you must do this to me. And they go back and forth all just having this talk, and the person finally agrees to do this. And so when we think of trauma, we usually think of only the ending, the outcome of it, but we don't think of the lesson that is being learned in this moment. We are now thinking about what is being triggered to help us be who we are to be. We remember the negative a lot more than the positive. The negative has much more of an impact because it is a lower vibration. And for those who are operating on a lower frequency, will remember those more. And then when you raise your vibration, of course, those lower impacts, those are going to fall away eventually. But when you have a soul sign a contract saying, you must inflict pain upon me, just imagine how hurtful that is for them. Just imagine how much pain that they're in because they have to do something to you that is against their will. Well, not necessarily against their will, but something that is against their principle of who they are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's potent stuff, isn't it? Really
Yeah.
potent stuff. Can we find gratitude for all the traumas in our lives and not just gratitude for the trees outside and the sun and the sky and whatever it is that we appreciate and love, but can we be find the lesson in the traumas and be really grateful for that? Years ago when I was in my 30s, I did this ritual sitting up in bed. I thought about this like you. I'd listened to the, Michael Beckwith's and the Conversation with God and the Abraham teachings and all spiritual teachers. And I was really chewing and contemplating on these concepts. And I was thinking, we are all souls who are infinite divine beings of love and light, just like you've stated, who elect to come into physical lives and play the roles of the victim or the persecutor. And so we're like on this great stage, all the world's a stage and everyone are the actors, right? And so just like we do in Hollywood or in the movies, when someone plays a role really well, we give them an Academy Award and say, you really convinced me that you were a terrible murderer. Let me give you an Academy Award. And so I did that sitting up at night. I gave out awards to all the people in my life that had convinced me that they didn't love me and that had persecuted me, had beaten me up and what have you. And the best actor award went to Dad, who beat me up as a child and did all that terrible, persecution stuff. And it was so freeing to do that, to be grateful for the role that they played in life. Like, thank you for playing that role. You played it so well. You were the perfect soul to play that role in my life. Yeah, and to really find that gratitude for the traumas that you've lived. And that's how we overcome them, right, Hillis? We don't overcome them by sitting in a therapist chair talking about them for 30 years.
No,
We
just
overcome,
come see me. We'll get it taken care of in a couple of hours.
right, couple of hours, exactly. Exactly. Like you, I had a client who we went into meditation and she remembered something she had suppressed. And that was being sexually assaulted by her father when she was really young.
Yeah.
And this memory came back and she started bawling. And I'm like, oh God, what am I going to do with this? Where are we going to go with this? And because she was in absolute trauma, just
Yeah.
trauma. And so it took her about 2 weeks of crying and getting it out. And then she came back and then she could find the gratitude and she could physically and psychically send love and appreciation to this man that had sexually abused her as a baby. Yeah, and a toddler. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so it took her a couple of weeks instead of a couple of lifetimes. I was so amazed that, yeah, when you really know who you are and remember that, you can find that. So I want to open it up to the tribe. We've got a few people online. Hi, everyone. Karen here, stepping in for Sheila, because as you know, it's Thanksgiving night in the States. And we don't have Thanksgiving over here in Australia. But I wish we did. So I'm going to officially say it's Thanksgiving in Australia as well. I want to hear from you all, or Hillis and I want to hear from you all. My guest today is Hillis Pugh on the Conscious Awakening Network for Cosmic Conversations. And I want to hear what you're grateful for And especially the people, well, not especially, but also including the people that are listening on YouTube. There's only a few of you. And YouTube and Facebook, I can see your comments. But the people on Zoom, like, what are you grateful for that was traumatic that you found gratitude and love for? Let me know in the comments, or if you want to come on live. What about you, Patty?
Okay, I'm on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Do you want to come on camera?
Oh, yeah, I don't mind.
I can add you
They
to the
won't do me
spotlight.
much harm.
There's
Hmm.
Patty. He's down under as well. He's in Australia. So it's not Thanksgiving night. We had a few more people online, but they've dropped off. They might have dropped off when my Zoom dropped out.
I
Uh,
don't know.
what are you grateful for, Patty, that that was traumatic in your life and that you found the gift, the
Well,
lesson?
I could have to say I don't think I'm advanced enough spiritually to be able to
Yeah.
actually think about that. I read um, both of Michael Newton's books
Uh-huh.
about the planning of the soul and the other one, and I can hear exactly what he wrote in what Hillis is saying. With
Yeah.
the heart, and it becomes, and having read the books, well, during reading the books, I struggled to try to understand what it was about because it was quite difficult to follow. But Hillis is, and I'm here today for some reason. I've
Well,
all
thank
of
you,
a sudden,
Patty.
okay. So now that that's an intrigue. And if you remember, Karen, we at one time we had a connection to a medium in America, and you wanted, and I was on there to ask questions, and I wanted
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
contact my father,
Yeah.
and he, and the reception was very poor, so we didn't get very far. But he did acknowledge in there that he could have been a lot better to us,
Mm.
which was intriguing to me because I had already read the Michael Collins book by that stage. So I knew a fair bit about birth contracts and so forth,
Yeah.
but I was, once he said that, I was actually wanting to have found out. I was hoping that we could actually ask more questions, but it didn't happen. And that's now put me in a bit of a search for finding out more about Dad because he was married to another woman before, and I've got a half brother before he took up with my mother, and I don't know anything about what he did during World War Two.
So Patty, finding out that we have these soul contracts, just like Hillis was saying, the souls get around and we choose our persecutors, and the soul says, "Oh, I don't want to hurt you, but I love you enough to do that, to give you this lesson in life." Finding that out can make you feel more love and compassion for your father, who was maybe not the best to you,
Oh
and
well,
gratitude.
I wouldn't say I didn't ever have any dislike for him. He just was. He was. I mean, I'm interested to learn about it, and so I can see that probably for him to have made that comment was probably more related to um, not being well, not making me aware of any particular aspect of the soul contract
So
that
what are you
I.
grateful for, Patty?
Oh, I'm grateful for lots of things. I'm grateful to be able to watch, to learn from you guys for one thing. But I look out the window here, and there's thousands of beautiful trees there, uh, and different. I've got a pretty quiet life here, and it's a lot of things to be unhappy about. But at the moment, I'm looking at those, and we had a good COVID lockdown. We could just sit here and drink coffee and talk and treat and and you wouldn't
I'm
hear a
grateful
motor
for the
car.
lockdowns. Yeah, we could be grateful for the.
We wouldn't hear a motor car. We'd think up. But
Yeah.
I know.
the rest of the world could have actually died, and we were
You
the only
wouldn't
ones left
know.
to it.
Yeah, the
And
lockdowns were amazing. There's actually a lot to be grateful for during those times. I mean, there are images. I think they're drone images. I don't know if you've seen these, Hillis, of big cities like in Europe and that were completely still, like not a person, not a
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
It's incredible during that time. I don't know how they got out to do that drone image, but across the world, these cities were still like everyone was inside. That was amazing. One of my clients on the show, I think it was Garnet, somebody said that his guide said that Mother Earth was having a break from all the chaos that humanity.
Yeah, that one I've heard that one many, many times. But yeah, when we and actually I feel it's important, especially now. I mean, with everything that we just experienced and everyone is experiencing all this anxiety and stress right now. That's because, collectively we are in 4D. And 4D is about the space of letting go what no longer
Yeah,
serves. So if everyone
letting
is
go.
emotionally sensitive or old memories are coming up or things that trigger you or new triggers or whatever it is, it's because it's time to let it go because you can't get into the space of unconditional love with all this baggage. People talk about 5D, and there are people that are floating between 3D and 4D, and some people are floating between 4D and 5D or even higher, depending on what it is you practice.
Mhm.
But it's in that space to really begin to understand what moment am I in now? Am I in the space of letting go? Am I in the space of acceptance? Am I in the space of just moving forward to get into this higher density of energy? And
Mhm.
so I say to everyone, find a meditation, find some sort of practice to help you or me or me to have that space of letting go, of letting go of the traumas and have an appreciation for that, letting go of the stress, the anxiety, the emotional triggers, because we all are triggered, but it's how we deal with them that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all up in our face, isn't it, Hillis? It's like we can't ignore it. We
Oh
just
yeah.
can't ignore it. There's no pushing it under the rug, sweeping it under the rug, pushing it down,
Not
eating
anymore.
eating the trauma away, or taking drugs to get away from it, or having too much sex, or workaholics, or whatever we do to try and get away from our trauma. It's all welling up and coming. It's in our faces. Like, deal with it. Deal
Yeah.
with it. Find love for it. Find gratitude. Yeah, we can't get away from it anymore. Like that. You say that's 4D, that
Yeah.
sensitivity to, yeah. So who else? What about Storm or Dean or anyone that's online? What are you grateful for, good or bad? Uh, who wants to? Anybody? Anybody that's online with us? Do you want to
Yes.
come on camera? Storm, you want to come on camera?
We're not on camera?
Pardon? Well, no, but in the lives, you're not on camera at the moment. I'll spotlight you.
Oh, if
Okay,
you want
there you are. You're on
to. Hi.
camera now. Hi, darling.
I'm really grateful for the calm in the United States post-election. It could have gone really crazy, and
Oh, okay.
it could be that we don't actually have someone picked because they're still counting votes and whatnot. So for us to have a break from all the craziness pre
Uh-huh.
is really, really nice. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't
Interesting.
have
Yeah.
Antifa and Black Lives Matter and all this stuff that, we were sort of expecting to happen. So I'm really grateful just to have it happened. Someone got elected. That's it. We haven't
Yeah.
had it in years.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I've got to say that I was expecting more chaos no matter who was going to win because there was so much opposition that, one team was going to be unhappy. Whoever won, one team was going
Yeah.
to
It
be
doesn't
unhappy.
didn't matter. Someone
Yeah.
was. That's
Yeah.
not important. We and I think collectively we all want peace anyway. So I think that's what
Yeah.
happened. So and it speaks to what happened with Hurricane Milton. I live in Florida.
Hmm.
I live on the Gulf side, so where Hurricane Milton was close to where Hurricane Milton was supposed to hit. And so me and some of my light worker friends and it was a global thing to disrupt the storm. And it was
Hmm.
amazing because it was a category 4, a category 5. It was supposed to be a category 4 or 5 when it made landfall. I kid you, every light worker that saw, could, or whatever participate, dissipated the storm. By the time it landed, it was like like category one, almost a tropical depression when it hit land. I'm like,
Wow.
so
But they still need your work because Black Rock had underground bases there, and there's
oh
still
no, trust me,
radiation.
I know I've done
Um,
in the astro space. I do recon.
mm.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh,
Um,
that sounds like something I'd like to explore, but maybe we can't explore it on a
no,
mainstream platform.
no, no,
Not
not today.
today.
No,
Maybe another
but
time.
I have done recon missions with people.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, Storm, thank you for that. That's beautiful. Thank you for letting us know what you're grateful for.
Thank
And
you.
Stacy, I'm going to bump you off, move spotlight. Stacy says here, yes, I joined many global energy
Yeah,
teams with Milton and so happy it worked. Ah, where's Stacy? Stacy, do you want to come on
yeah.
camera?
So that just speak no, but Stacy just even mentioned just goes back to the power of intention.
Mm,
When we set the intention, especially when we were talking about the galactic language and
hmm
how the energy, and how is that, and it doesn't just affect the physical body, it can affect anything that has a vibrational energy. And we send that out there, we send that intention out there, that thought wave, and it affects it. So, I mean,
Yeah,
we are powerful people.
yeah. Stacy, do you want to come on camera? Do you want me to spotlight you, honey one?
Sure. Well, it's okay. I'm fine here. Um, One thing I noticed that I was grateful for the last little bit was, as you mentioned, I'm in Canada, so we had our Thanksgiving a long time ago, but it was like right after Remembrance Day, and we got a good dump of snow up here, so we're heavy into winter. But all the lights went on, and I just, everyone's mood switched. And like I was just when Storm was talking about the election, the election was done, even though I'm in Canada, it was affecting us up here as well. But that was done, Remembrance Day, and I mean, there's still small storms brewing, but with the coming season, everyone's lights go on. We get that snow, which when you get snow, I don't know if you guys get a lot of it, but there's like a peace. You wake up in the
Nice,
morning and it's so silent and peaceful. And everyone's mood just kind of shifted,
nice.
and you could just feel that shift, that people are just, there's so many, if you look for them, you can see the random acts of kindness, generosity. I mean, you still see some nitpicking online, but I'm seeing much, much more people giving of their heart and just being in that place of oneness and enough of the divisiveness. So,
Yeah.
You guys are coming up for an election in a few months too, aren't you? A major election.
ours won't be until October unless we can boot him out the door sooner.
Oh, so it's not until October next year,
Yeah, he
2025.
doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to go, even though
Ah, I
he's
see.
like sinking in the polls bad and done us in bad. But it won't be as brutal as your guys's, right?
Well, not mine. I think you're talking about the States because I'm
Yeah.
in
In this,
Australia. But let
but
me tell you how the election landed here. Like I'm in Australia, Sydney, Australia. And I was just, it was the best show on earth. It was hilarious what was going on. It was like the best sitcom you've ever watched, just the whole thing unfolding. But even the mainstream media down here, when the election results came out officially, they went down to Bondi Beach. Now, I don't know if you know what Bondi Beach is, but it's a famous beach here in Sydney. And they were asking people what they thought of the election results, and everyone had an opinion. So Australians were really engaged in what was happening in the States. I thought that was so funny that, that mainstream news were asking people, what did you think of the election results in the States? Yeah. Yeah. So it has a big impact, on the world.
Yeah, you want this?
Oh, I'm going to mute Patty's channel away in the background there. It's not over. What are you saying here, Storm? It's not over. Only the election is over. Yeah, yeah. But thank you for your insights, Stacey. That's beautiful. I'm gonna remove the spotlight, and I want to say to everybody that's watching the recording to write in the comments what you're grateful for, and can you find gratitude and thanksgiving for the traumas that you've had in your life and the lessons that you learned from those traumas. Anything else, Hillis, you'd like to say about finding gratitude for the stressful situations that we've lived in life?
Just remember to honor those moments, honor those lessons. They are some of the most important ones you'll ever have.
Yeah.
Granted, they are triggering, traumatizing, whatever they are, but it's in the remembrance of those where you would begin to remember who you are.
Beautiful. I'm just on Facebook here. There's someone called Virgil on the Conscious Awakening Network who said, I'm still with you. When I was in New York City, I had the misfortune of staying at the Jane Hotel in Greenwich Village, apart from the bed bugs, nice rooms. Oh, I suppose it's a long comment. I don't think I'll read it. But yeah, that's a bit of a long comment. But hey, guys from Manchester, England. Ah, my God, it's the middle of the night in Manchester, England.
Yeah, it's like, what, 3 a.m. there, something
God,
like
yeah,
that?
3 or 4 a.m. Yeah, he's up late. He's up very late. But yeah, he's a long comment here. I don't think it's a gratitude, but no comments on the YouTube yet. But I'd like to thank you, Hillis, for being with us tonight, for staying up on your Thanksgiving night to be on the Conscious Awakening Network on Cosmic Conversations. And so my gratitude to you, my friend.
Yes, I'm so grateful for you, Karen, and for Sheila, who is enjoying time with her family. I appreciate the both of you. Appreciate the show network for this amazing opportunity.
Yeah, beautiful. And my name is Karen Swain. I have a podcast show as well called Accentuate the Positive Media, or ATP Media. And I've been showcasing New World teachers for around 16, actually around 25 years. I used to do it live every Monday night in a group. And then I went on media, first on radio and then podcasting, still doing it. Every year I think I'm going to give up and let the other people take over, because I've seen over the last, God, especially the last 5 years, so many new shows come out and so many getting hundreds, like hundreds of thousands, even millions of views. So I've seen the expansion of consciousness happen, in the podcasting world. There are some big voices out there doing amazing things, amazing things. It's really exponential to see the rise in consciousness. And I'm also an event coordinator, conscious event coordinator, and a teacher of deliberate creation. And I've been a big fan of the Conscious Awakening Network ever since Sheila started it, and Cosmic Conversations. I love what Sheila's doing online. And I want to thank everybody for listening and watching, and just gratitude to all of you who have tuned in to this transmission and are on your spiritual path. And just like Patty said, even though he might not practice it exactly, he at least he's reading about it, and he's understanding it, and he's getting to know who he is as a spiritual being, having a physical life experience, and having that remembrance. Thanks again, Hillis. Thanks, everybody. Big love to you. And do you want to just tell people again what your website is?
So people can go to hillispugh.com, or you can go to tap link at cc/Hillis Pugh. You can find all my social media there. All events that are coming up is just one place and click. And yeah.
And I hope Sheila's enjoying her Thanksgiving holiday dinner, her Thanksgiving evening with her family and friends. And catch you all next time. Patty says thanks. Thanks, Patty. And big love to all of you. Thanks, Nai.